So I've had a few people ask me to do a video specifically about twin flame Kundalini. I did a video recently called The Complete Twin Flame Signs, which I will link down below for you. And in that video, I did a pretty thorough job discussing all of the different twin flame signs because if you're still not sure if it's your twin flame, that's actually one of the signs, believe it or not. Doubt. I know that sounds weird, but just go watch it. Go watch the video. I know it's long, but it's worth watching, guys, if you really want to know if you met your twin flame. Now, this video specifically is just going to be about twin flame Kundalini, whereas that video I spent, maybe a good 10 minutes talking about it in there, but it's also long and there's a bunch of other stuff. I'm just going to make this standalone video specifically about twin flame Kundalini. And this has a lot to do with it. The second law of thermodynamics. Go check out my twin flame science playlist on this YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below to my twin flame science playlist. And I explain why there is the push-pull, but this is something else that you could be experiencing metaphysically. So what you can experience with your twin flame can be a little different than just your standard Kundalini rising, okay? Kundalini is one thing that can happen with your twin flame. But why this polarization happens has to do with the second law of thermodynamics, okay? Your twin flame is your past life. And if that sounds shocking to you, just again, go watch my twin flame science playlist. It's not very hard to figure this out just based on the observations I've made from twin flames and students of mine over the last several years. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I've already made lots of videos about why these things are happening, the science behind it. So that's all the time I'm going to spend on that in this video. This video, what I'd like to spend most of my time on is talking about what happens, right? So Kundalini, that can happen. There's some other things, and we'll talk about that last because everybody kind of already knows what that is. But specifically with twin flames, metaphysical experiences that can happen that don't seem to happen with other people, just with them, is it can happen. It doesn't happen to everybody, but here's what happens. You may feel this energy pulling from you to them. The best way that I've thought of to describe it is it was like I had a big elastic band attached to my whole entire torso, like a big rubber band, right? And it's like pulling away from me, and the energy was going to her. And she even said she felt it. This happened several times. Pretty interesting. And no, she's not awakening. My divine masculine is awakening. It doesn't work that way. Go watch my Twin Flame Myths video. And some people, when I point out that your twin flame is not awakening spiritual, when I point that out, they get kind of triggered by that. Oh, you're wrong about that, Kurt. You're wrong. Really? Well, then how come that doesn't happen to everybody? And again, I've got a bunch of people that have been through my coaching program that are married to their twin flame. Guys, my twin flame is permanently in my life too. So, no, not everybody's twin flame awakens. So, every single past life you've ever lived, you've lived hundreds or thousands, they all awaken? That's how that works? All of them. You go back 30 lifetimes and that person had a spiritual awakening, or the person you were in your last lifetime. They all awaken every single incarnation? Again, this is more twin flame mythology. Again, I will link the twin flame myths video down below for you. And these, again, I know some of these videos are long, guys, but if you really want to shut down the suffering with your twin flame, you need to learn about this stuff. And I'm not afraid to say it anymore, you guys. I am the #1 twin flame coach. I am the proven authority on twin flames. Look at the results. It doesn't matter what people think, guys. Look at the results. Look at how many people I've helped. It's not about me being right. It's about giving you the correct information. I just made a video about that last week. I will link that video down below for you as well. It's only 10 minutes long, guys. So the whole bit about your twin flame awakening, I think what people really want to know is, are they going to be with me? Can I get my twin flame to be with me? And the myth is that you awaken and then your twin flame awakens and then you're together. That's not what happens. You awaken, and when you focus on that instead of the person, that's when you have Kundalini. That's when the running stops. That's when they start talking to you again, but they don't awaken. That doesn't happen, guys, and it doesn't need to happen. What you really want to know is, how do I get them to stop rejecting me? It doesn't matter if they awaken. You just want them, right? Right. So just don't worry about the myths, guys. Well, anyway, that's why that's happening. There's a scientific physics-based reason for it, guys. It's the second law of thermodynamics. You are polarized at the level of the mind with your twin flame. It's not because you need to do healing or something like that. There's no psychology needed to do this. But you can feel this pull between you and your twin flame, and you're going to feel the energy going to them. Now, that is specific to twin flames. Other things that could be happening to you, and some of these things have to happen, guys, if it's your twin flame. And if they have not, I want to say this too. If you haven't experienced any of these interesting, weird energy sensations that we're talking about in this video, you will. If it's your twin flame, you maybe just haven't yet. So I'll give you some advice at the end of the video, things that you can do to get those things to start happening. Like if you're not really sure if it's your twin flame, if you haven't experienced these things yet, excuse me, I'll kind of tell you how you can kickstart some of that stuff. And then when they do start happening, it's like, okay, now you've got confirmation, right? And again, like I said in last week's video, results, guys. You have to get a result. It's not what you think or feel that counts. You have to have proof. Yes, this is real. There is twin flames. But do you got any proof? Do you have any results? Right? Kundalini is a big, big one, you guys. That's a big one. And everybody's got to get something. There's got to be something on this list of things that I'm talking about in this video. Okay, and again, what we just talked about was something that specifically happens to twin flames. Not all of them. Not all of them. You're not all going to feel this weird pulling towards your twin flame. But some of you have, and some of you will if it's your twin flame. Now, here's the other things that could be going on. So, obviously, like a classic Kundalini sensation, all right? And how it happens for you can be different for different people. So your classical Kundalini experience is kind of all at once. You feel it start at the base of your spine, right? So your tailbone, and then traveling up your spine and then out your crown, right? And it happens kind of all at once, like instantaneously or within 15 minutes or an hour or over the course of a day, right? But there's other people who experienced it over the course of 2 days or a week or 3 weeks, right? So Kundalini is, what is called Kundalini is specifically that event where you feel the energy traveling up your spine. And again, classical Kundalini is something that happens all at once. But what I'm telling you is it can happen over the course of days or weeks also. Mine lasted about 3 weeks. And the less time that your Kundalini takes, the more intense it is. And it doesn't hurt. Some people, the sensation of Kundalini, it bothers them, but not because it hurts. They just think it's like annoying or something. So that's fine. It's not going to hurt you or anything. Most people are like, whoa, this is really different. This is cool. They feel all this energy, right? And so that's most people. They think it's like interesting and fascinating and kind of weird. But I've had a couple of people that were like, yeah, I didn't like it, but it doesn't hurt. But I just didn't like it, right? It was like annoying or something. Like maybe they were trying to work at their job and it was distracting them or something. I don't know. Again, the less time that it takes, the more intense the Kundalini is going to be. So mine took 3 weeks. It was about 3 weeks. And I mean, there were other things that happened too. Like there was the pulling energy between me and her. And those events took place within I want to say like a 4-month time period. So some of those things happened with her at different points along the way during this 4-month time period. And then in the middle, I had the 3-week, like really intense Kundalini also, which was just something that I felt. I didn't feel the energy going to her. It was just Kundalini. Does that kind of make sense? And that's just what happened for me. That's just my experience. But what I felt was like energy, like pulling at me, like pulling me up into the sky and like pulling me around and like jerking me around. And I'd be like walking down the street and people driving by would look at me like I'm some fucking weirdo. Cause I was like, what the fuck? It's like that, like pulling me around and stuff. But it feels really cool. It was just so interesting. Just such a interesting experience. Another thing that happened was something that I believe is called heart activation, which I know that sounds cringy and new agey, but I don't know what else to call it. And I think this is what people are trying to illustrate when you see, like sometimes you see like a picture of Jesus, right? And he's got like a big glowing heart on his chest. You ever seen one of those? I think that's what that is when he had his heart activation. It's your heart chakra waking up and what you feel. And I'll talk more about like why this is all happening and what is going to happen next in a little bit too. But it was just like really intense love is what I felt in my heart. And I mean really intense. And I've had other people too say that they felt stuff like this going on in their solar plexus, or maybe their sacral. So I think it might work a little bit differently for each person. So like every person maybe is built a little bit differently. There is a metaphysical practice called human design. And I actually had my human design chart done. I am a manifesting generator is what I am in human design. And you can get a human design reading done and they'll kind of give you a breakdown of your different chakras and where each chakra may be more or less attuned to your spiritual gifts and to your higher self. So these experiences like heart activation, you might have it in your solar plexus instead. So again, everybody is kind of maybe built a little bit different. It's all the same when you think of it like we all have chakras. The car, if you look at a car, it's always the same. It's got 4 wheels, it moves, it travels around, it's got a steering wheel, right? But There's cars, most cars have a gasoline engine. Some cars have a diesel engine. Some cars are electric. Some cars have an automatic transmission. Some cars have a manual transmission. Some cars, whatever. Some cars have the engine in the back, right? So it's all the same when you look at it from the perspective of it's a car. It does basically the same thing as all the other cars, but each car might have a little bit of a different setup. It's kind of like that, right? But for me, anyway, the heart activation, it was intense love, and it was so intense that I actually thought like something bad could happen, because I was like, can my heart actually take this much love? Like, could this break me? It was a lot. It was weird how much love it was. It was strange. I mean, it didn't hurt, but it was just a lot. It was so much good feeling. It was like they turned the volume, like the volume limit goes up to 10 and somebody turned it up to 38. And I was like, can you even have this much? Can you handle this much love? This is crazy. So these are some of the things that you could be experiencing. You'll feel energy pulling at you, Kundalini, energy pulling towards your twin, away from you, heart activation, solar plexus. You might get tingling sensations in your third eye, tingling in your hands. There's all kinds of things that could happen. But again, some of the things on this list that I'm talking about today have got to happen, guys, if it's your twin flame. If none of this stuff ever happens, it's not your twin flame, guys. And I'm not going to tell you comforting lies. That's what last week's video was about. Again, I linked it down below for you. If you want to go check it out, I'm a truth teller, guys. I'm not going to give you comforting lies. And the things that I tell you it's just correct information. It's not about me being right, okay? It's about correct information. And if you have correct information instead of comforting lies, you live a better life. And it's results-based. Look at the result, guys. Look at the people I've helped. Look at how many people I've helped. Look at all the people on my YouTube channel that are married to their twin flame. This is based on results, not what I think or what somebody else thinks, okay? If it's your twin flame, you will experience Kundalini at some point. Or some weird energy shit is what I call it. It could be some of this other stuff that we talked about. The tingling, in your third eye or in your hands or whatever, right? Or a combination of all these things. Now, these things are happening because your astral body is waking up. So, you are body, mind, soul. Well, the mind, more specifically, is going to include chakras, metaphysical energy, thoughts, emotions. And this little cloud, by the way, this is supposed to represent your soul in heaven. That's kind of my little way of illustrating that, right? But the mind is all of these things. It's thoughts, emotions, chakras, metaphysical energy, the memory, data storage base that we call the ego mind, personality, right? The ego, retained thought and emotional patterns, right? All of these things make up the mind, astral body, whatever you want to call it, right? And that component of the three-part triune being, body, astral body, mind, soul, the astral body mind component, which is made up of, again, chakras, thoughts, emotions, memory storage system called the ego, right? Metaphysical energy, that component is coming online now. It's been dormant. You know how like when you sit on your foot for long enough, it falls asleep and it gets numb and you can't feel anything? And then you get up and you walk around and you're like, with your foot, because you get like that needles and pins. Now that hurts, that kind of hurts. So that's where that's not a perfect example, because the energy sensations that you're going to feel as a result of this spiritual awakening, they don't hurt. But where that example is good is, yeah, that's kind of the same thing. That's what's going on. Why do you get the needles and pins when you get up and walk around? Because your foot's waking up. It was asleep. Your spiritual awakening is this drastic increase in consciousness all at once. It is a powerful, intense, and fast increase of your consciousness. That's why you met your twin flame, guys. And again, if you embrace your awakening instead of the person, they stop running. And that's the other thing that I wanted to talk with you about in today's video, which was how to get some of this stuff to start happening if it hasn't already started happening. Real simple, guys. You got to stop making the person the goal, guys. You got to take all your focus off of them and go in here, guys. Remember that you are what's in here. It's not, and I want to be clear about this, because a lot of you think what I just said was, oh, I see. I get what you're saying, Kurt. I got to take my focus off of them and focus on myself. Well, not quite. It's, you got to take your focus off of them and experience yourself. Remember yourself as focus, as consciousness. You're not focusing on anything. You are the focus. Who are you beyond the mind, the soul? What's the soul? Consciousness, focus, awareness. So again, like I always tell you guys, read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Read The Power of Now. You could also read Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. There's also an hour-long documentary film on YouTube, absolutely free, that you can start watching right now. It's called Samadhi. There's 3 parts. Make sure that you watch part 1 first. Don't skip around, or else the other 2, they won't make sense to you. Watch part 1. It's called Samadhi, part 1. Maya, the Illusion of Self. Samadhi, part 1, Maya, the Illusion of Self. Read those books, watch that movie, and remember who you are as consciousness. Stop making this about the person. You'll get the Kundalini to start and a lot of other cool stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week.